What is up? GoodMicWork back at you with your Monday Night Raw review for May 16th, 2016. This is the Extreme Rules Go Home Raw. I'm also going to predict the pay-per-view coming up on this Sunday. I'm feeling much better this week. I want to apologize for last week and the delay in getting the Q&A uploaded. I had an awful lot going on in the past couple of weeks, being under the weather and having family in town, and then work got crazy and I just couldn't find any time to finish the damn thing, and last week I feel like I just phoned in my commentary because I still wasn't feeling very good. But I'm back to 100% now, and I'm ready to talk about Raw and predict Extreme Rules and talk about a few other newsworthy items as well, including the arrest of Adam Rose. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. Before I jump into my Raw review here, I just want to let you know what's on tap for this week. I announced this on Facebook and social media, that I do have like 3 or 4 videos coming to you in the next few days. Of course, you have this one that you're listening to currently. I will have the Q&A finished by Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, so on Wednesday sometime you will see the Q&A uploaded on my channel as well. On Thursday, May 19th, you are going to have a brand new This Day in History, and then of course on Sunday after Extreme Rules, I will come up here with a results and reaction video. So I got about 4 videos coming to you in the next several days. So let's get into Raw first. I apologize if you hear any background noise. My downstairs neighbor is a drummer, and he is fucking rocking out right now. So hopefully that won't cause too much of a problem in the audio. We'll get into Monday Night Raw first. Like I said, I'll kind of blow through the show here. Not bad tonight. I thought the show was okay. It emanated from Greensboro, North Carolina at the Greensboro Coliseum. I practically used to live in that arena. I have been to more shows in that building, specifically wrestling shows, that I literally can even count. And I always love it when they go back to Greensboro. And the crowd was relatively okay. They had their dead moments and they felt burnt out at times, but for the most part the crowd was pretty lively, especially in the beginning. The show opened up with an AJ Styles promo, comes out and talks about his match with Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules, and is a little irritated that everybody thinks he's lying, that he has some big master plan with the club, with Gallows and Anderson, to come into the WWE and make him a world champion, and he's saying that that's not the case. He doesn't have some sort of a devious plan. Everything that's happened between him and Roman Reigns has been a misunderstanding, and Roman Reigns doesn't believe him. Roman then comes out to the ring as well, cuts a promo on AJ, calls him a liar, claims that he's out to get him and all this shit, and Gallows and Anderson's music end up hitting. They come down to the ramp, and then the Usos appear out of nowhere in the ring with Roman Reigns to back him up. So they made the match for later on tonight. It was going to be the Usos versus Gallows and Anderson. Roman kind of nails AJ with a little bit of a sucker punch, I guess, and Gallows and Anderson restrain him and hold him back and, trying to build heat between Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, and I think they're doing a good job. First match of the night is between Sami Zayn and Cesaro. We have The Miz and Kevin Owens on commentary, which I think was the most entertaining part of the match. This match had great potential. We know that Cesaro and Zayn can work awesome matches together. They showed that in NXT. But this match, we knew we weren't going to get much out of it. Clearly, you were going to have the guest commentators get involved and turn this thing into a big clusterfuck. That's exactly what happened. Shane McMahon's music then hits, and it was pretty predictable that he was going to come out there and make a tag match just like Teddy Long would have back in the day. He comes out there and says, all right, we're going to have a rematch from SmackDown. It's going to be Kevin Owens and The Miz taking on Cesaro and Sami Zayn. And then Stephanie's music hits, and she comes out there. And she changes the match. She says, Shane, that's a good idea, but how about we tweak it up? We already know that those two teams don't get along with each other, so why don't we make Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens team up against Cesaro and The Miz? And Owens, if you get any ideas, like walking out on your partner, you will forfeit your opportunity to compete for the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules. So Stephanie kind of changes it up, which I liked, and they end up having the match, and in a really funny finish, Sami Zayn ends up nailing The Miz and getting the pin, and then Kevin Owens comes in the ring and attacks Sami Zayn and then celebrates like he won the match all by himself. Pretty funny. Kevin Owens is fucking hilarious. I wouldn't mind at all if he came up short at Extreme Rules and didn't win the Intercontinental title and won the Money in the Bank briefcase instead. I think he could be an extremely entertaining Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I think it would be fun watching him tease cash-ins for a year or so. We finally had the Shining Stars debut tonight as well. They came out for a squash match, basically. A couple of NXT guys came out there and played the role of jobbers and let Primo and Epico pretty much do what they wanted to them. And the crowd was a little soft on it. I don't know if they really were kind of indifferent on the tag team. We're not sure if this is going to work. I mean, they could turn out to be another jobber tag team, or they could get over like the New Day. Who knows? But I'm not going to judge them by tonight only. It was their debut. You got to get a feel for the characters and start developing who they are and shit like that, so it takes a while. We saw how flat the New Day fell when they first debuted, and look at them now. So I'll definitely give the Shining Stars a few weeks before I make any final decisions on them, but initially my first impression of them was not that great. In a really good segment, we had Dean Ambrose coming down to the ring to cut a promo, and he calls out Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho had, I guess, put Dean Ambrose in a straitjacket and sent him off to the loony bin or some shit like that on SmackDown as revenge for Ambrose destroying Jericho's $15,000 light bright jacket or whatever the fuck. So Jericho comes out there and he starts demanding an apology, and Ambrose and him start going back and forth, and then all of a sudden this giant cage that's hanging over the ring starts being lowered, and this eerie music starts playing, and Ambrose cuts a promo on Jericho saying, hey, I talked to Shane McMahon earlier on. Since you want to put me in a straitjacket, Shane allowed me to make this match an asylum match, and this big black steel cage comes down. Basically, it's a normal cage, just painted black, which actually looked cool, but I guess because it's black, it now makes it an asylum. And over the asylum, it has a whole bunch of weapons hanging down from the ring. Barbed wire bat, fire extinguisher, kendo sticks, even a potted plant is hanging down. I wonder if that's Mitch's son coming for revenge on Chris Jericho. I hope that the match ends with Dean Ambrose smashing the potted plant over Jericho's head and scoring the victory. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's how they go with the finish. But all in all, it was a really good segment. Ambrose did a really good job. Just the combination of the lighting and the music and the promo he was cutting I thought was really good. And hopefully it will be a fun match at Extreme Rules. We get another debut tonight. Dana Brooke had her first match on Monday Night Raw, and some extremely sad news broke earlier on in the day. I guess Emma had suffered a back injury at a live event the night before, or maybe a couple of nights ago, and it's serious. She has to have surgery, so she is out indefinitely. And that really sucks. I feel horrible for her. She had finally gotten herself kind of back on the map. She was doing something meaningful, did her time in NXT and did a good job there, and was now back on the main roster, and now this whole thing falls apart with her back injury. And if it would happen a week prior, I wonder if they would have held off Dana Brooke's debut. But she already debuted last week, so they have to go with it now. And she has a singles match tonight against Becky Lynch, and she beats Becky. She's a big-breasted blonde, which the WWE likes, who can also work in the ring. Not a bad talker either, so I wish Dana Brooke nothing but the best on the main roster. We had a video package tonight that was so hilarious that I damn near shit my pants. They gave us what seemed like a 4 or 5 minute long music video dedicated to the trials and tribulations of Goldust and R-Truth. The way they started forming a tag team, and then they each found different partners, and that didn't work out, and then they found their way back to each other, and this very touching tribute to the two of them, which led to their debut match. Goldust and R-Truth are back together. They come out there to take on Fandango and Tyler Breeze, who are called Breezango, and they fucking lost. They lost their debut match to these two guys. So this whole thing is kind of a joke, so it doesn't make me mad that they lost their debut match. Who cares? Backstage, Goldust is ready to quit, and R-Truth is like, no, come on, we just have to get our shit together, and, you know, talked about his feng shui and all that shit, hilarious stuff, and Goldust finally agrees, and I think they were confronted by Breeze and Fandango, who were bragging about the victory, and Goldust was like, all right, R-Truth, maybe you're right, I'll give it one more shot. So these guys are going to stay together, I guess, and they're probably going to have another match on SmackDown. I would assume they'll be doing something at Extreme Rules. Nothing has been announced, but to me that reeks of pre-show, so I'm sure the four of those guys will be involved in some sort of a kickoff match of some kind at Extreme Rules. I can almost guarantee it. The match they had tonight was total garbage, but the video package might have been the highlight of the night. In another good segment that I thought was kind of creative, the New Day comes out there for a promo, and they have this big giant time machine that they built out of a refrigerator box. And they get in it and going to go back in time, I guess, to the era of the Vaudevillains. But they stop halfway there, and Kofi Kingston's music hits, his old Jamaican music. He comes out of the box with a Jamaican accent and all that, gets back in the box. And then they all come back after the lights are flickering and they're traveling through time. They all come out. So they've gone back in time about 100 years. And they have a new cereal, which is called Derriere Squares. They've changed Booty-O's to Derriere Squares, which I thought was hilarious. Kofi's cell phone was now this giant big fucking phone that they used 100 years ago. And they get attacked from behind by the Vaudevillains. The whole thing's taking place in black and white, too, by the way. So the Vaudevillains attack them and hit him with some pretty sweet double-team moves and leave the New Day laying, setting up their big match at Extreme Rules. And I liked it. I liked the whole segment. I thought it was pretty funny. The time machine was kind of a cross between the DeLorean and Back to the Future and the telephone booth in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Sometimes segments are so facepalm worthy that they actually turn out to be good, and I enjoyed this one. We had that Usos and Gallows and Anderson tag team match up next, which was not the main event, which I was surprised about. It made me wonder what the main event was going to be. But we had this match go on, and it was okay. I decided to cook dinner during this match, so I didn't really watch the entire match until the very end, but I kept my eye on it, and the Usos ended up winning this time around. Roman Reigns and AJ were in their respective teams' corners. The end of the match saw a stare down with Roman Reigns and AJ, and Gallows and Anderson get back involved again, and then finally Roman takes the chair and whacks AJ with it. After some more brawling involving the 6 guys, AJ then gets his hands on the chair, and he just goes off on Roman Reigns, nails him a couple of times, and then picks him up and hits him with the Styles Clash right on the chair. So that was pretty awesome. I like that. So I'm excited for the match at Extreme Rules. I think it's going to be really good. I'll get into who I predict later on. But as far as the match we're going to see, I have high hopes for it. The next match we get is Big Cass taking on Devon Dudley. This match was set up backstage when the Dudleys interrupted Shane and Stephanie and asked them to feed them a couple of local North Carolina guys so they could beat the shit out of them on Monday Night Raw. And I was thinking to myself, man, they really want a couple of North Carolina guys. What about the Hardys? The roof would have blown off that Greensboro Coliseum if the Hardys would have made some sort of a surprise return to the WWE. That would have been sweet, but it didn't happen. What they got was a singles match between Cass and Devon. Cass comes out to the ring, cuts an awesome promo, calls Devon the Urkel of the squared circle and all this shit, and ends up beating him, completely squashing him, beating him in like a minute or something like that. And then Bubba runs into the ring and he gets his ass kicked too. So Cass looks like a beast. They're smashing him over strong, and he basically humiliated arguably one of the greatest tag teams in the history of the wrestling business. So they're pushing Cass hard and strong, and I like him. The kid's doing well. We get Kalisto taking on Alberto Del Rio next, rekindling their feud over the United States title. This was a non-title match, by the way. During the match, they show Sin Cara watching on the monitor backstage, and he's attacked by Rusev. Rusev goes after Sin Cara, kicks the absolute shit out of him backstage, and then drags him out to the ring during the match, which distracts Kalisto. Del Rio's able to nail him with the backcracker and beat him, and then Rusev gets in the ring and attacks Kalisto, hits him with a nasty super kick to the back of the head, and then damn near breaks him in half in his Accolade finisher and leaves Kalisto completely destroyed. So they made Rusev look mean and nasty and awesome, and I liked it. In a nice change of pace, the main event tonight was the contract signing between Charlotte and Natalya for the WWE Women's title at Extreme Rules. Shane and Stephanie would both be present for this thing as well. And I gotta say, I loved Charlotte's promo tonight. She comes out there with Ric Flair to a tremendous ovation. I mean, that Greensboro Coliseum and Ric Flair go way back. Ric Flair has won a lot of titles and has a lot of history in that building and in that town. Natalya's out there as well, and they're pretty much booing everything that she's saying and cheering the Flairs. And then Charlotte gets on the mic and cuts just a beautiful heel promo and actually gets the crowd, the hometown crowd, to turn on her. I think Charlotte is just the total package in a women's wrestler. She is so good on the mic, she is a great heel, and she's a great worker. I mean, she's got everything. Charlotte goes on so much that she actually pisses off Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon, and there's also a stipulation, a new stipulation in the contract, that if Ric Flair does come down to the ring during that match, during that submission match, that Charlotte will lose the women's title. So they're pissed off because they didn't know about that, but Shane and Stephanie basically force her to sign it, and they say if she doesn't, she's going to be stripped of the WWE women's title right then and there. So she has no choice but to sign it. Ric Flair gets pissed off. He threatens to fight Shane McMahon, and Shane doesn't want to hurt the old man. I mean, Ric Flair looks like he's 181 years old out there, and Stephanie steps in and says, you know what, Shane, you might not be able to hit him, but I sure as hell will, and she rears back and slaps the fucking shit out of Ric Flair. I think it's one of Stephanie's favorite things to do. She loves to slap people. I swear, she orgasms over it. She does not hold anything back when she decides to slap the yellow off of someone's teeth. She is an absolute savage. Natalya ends up intercepting Charlotte, who is now pissed off at Stephanie, and puts her in the sharpshooter. She starts tapping out, and the show goes off the air with the Flairs retreating, and you don't even know if you saw a Natalya heel turn, and, you know, is Stephanie a heel? Who the fuck's face and heels? Who the hell knows what's going on? All in all, it was an okay segment. I was fine with Raw closing the show with that, especially for a go-home pay-per-view Raw, for them to close with a women's segment. That's awesome. I don't think it was all that bad. Like I said, I'm impressed as hell with Charlotte and her ability not only in the ring but on the mic. She's somebody that I really want to be a heel forever. She's like a female Edge. You know what I mean? She's always going to make a better heel. So that does it for Monday Night Raw. We'll get into the Extreme Rules predictions here next, but first I will mention the Adam Rose situation. I guess he got into some more trouble. Of course, he was suspended for 30 days for violating the wellness policy. And then he started saying, hey, this is bullshit. I didn't deserve it. I'm going to post a letter from my doctor that's going to, clear me of all these false charges, and I just got caught taking something that I had a prescription for. He then posted the letter from the doctor saying that he was prescribed Adderall, and the doctor believes that he was following the correct dosage and taking it. And I was the one that said, just because you have a prescription, if they found a shit ton of it in your system, that means you're abusing it, and you can probably get nailed for that as well by the WWE. So that was probably what happened. He then took down the letters, almost as, I'm wondering if the WWE told him to. He was almost conceding, I thought, that he wasn't going to be able to get out of the suspension, and he took everything down. And then a few days later, he gets arrested for domestic violence. Him and his wife have some sort of an issue. He grabbed her by the face or grabbed her by the throat or something. She called the cops. They came and arrested him. He had to be put in jail. He had to appear before a judge. I mean, for some guys, when it rains, it pours. I mean, Adam Rose, to me, is as good as done. I mean, this all happened right in the middle of all those WWE releases. I cannot believe they did not release the guy. I think they actually did up his suspension to 60 days while the charges are pending. I think his wife has forgiven him. He didn't hurt her or beat her, but he did, put his hands on her, and they were probably arguing over the situation. They have a special needs kid. He's probably under a lot of stress right now because his job is in jeopardy because he got suspended and pinched by the wellness policy. They were probably arguing about that. Oh my God, what's going to happen if you get released? What are we going to do about money? The argument got heated, and things were said. I could never imagine putting my hands on my wife or any woman for that matter, but it seems like it happens every now and then. And Adam Rose, whatever situation is, it's like I don't have too much sympathy for him. Get your shit together, dude. Don't get in situations like this when you've already been nailed by the wellness policy and all of your friends around you are getting released. You don't really want to fuck up right now. So I don't know if WWE's going to eventually release him. Maybe they upped his suspension for now until they figure out what goes on with his legal issues going into this situation with his wife. They might be just waiting to see what happens. If they had to release him, I wouldn't blame the WWE at all. Throw him out on his ass. If you can't get your shit together, you can't work for us. Goodbye. Moving on now to Extreme Rules and my predictions for this pay-per-view. This is probably going to be a little bit half-assed because I only have 6 matches written down. There's a lot of guys missing from this pay-per-view and a lot of matches that I'm sure are going to be added here at the last minute. Like I said, I'm sure we're going to get something with R-Truth and Goldust and Fandango and Tyler Breeze. We'll probably get a match maybe with Becky Lynch and Dana Brooke. I wouldn't be surprised if the Shining Stars get a match they can win. I also wouldn't be surprised if we get Cass versus Bubba Dudley or something like that. So I'm sure there will be a few more matches announced this week, but as far as the ones I have written down, the first one is the only title match, the only non-title match that is Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose in the Asylum match. Now, to me, the only logical winner here is Dean Ambrose. I'm picking him hands down, and like I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a potted plant across the head of Chris Jericho for the finish in that match. United States title on the line, Kalisto versus Rusev. I was going to pick Rusev to win this match initially, but after what we saw on Monday Night Raw with him destroying Sin Cara and Kalisto, I kind of think Kalisto might come out of this match with the belt. I hope it takes place on the main card. It's been on the kickoff show, for the past several months, so it needs to take place on the main card. But if it does and they want to continue to build Kalisto, I think Kalisto could retain. I could also see Sin Cara maybe turning on Kalisto. Sin Cara was getting his ass kicked by Rusev, and Kalisto was in the ring. Even though he was in the middle of the match, he was just kind of watching it. He wasn't even making any attempt to get outside the ring to prevent Rusev from the beatdown. So maybe Sin Cara is going to be resentful and say, why didn't you help me out? And he could wind up turning on Kalisto, and they could have a nice old-school Mexican feud. Maybe the loser takes his mask off at some point or something like that. Or they could just continue to build Kalisto and have him beat Rusev as well, and continue his United States title run. So even though I have a gut feeling that my prediction is going to be wrong, I'm going to predict Rusev. The Fatal 4-Way match for the Intercontinental title between Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and The Miz, I'm going to pick The Miz to retain. The Miz has been looking like a piece of shit the last couple of weeks on Monday Night Raw. He's the Intercontinental title holder, and he's been pinned 2 weeks in a row. You got these 3 awesome wrestlers in Zayn, Cesaro, and Owens that most fans, I'm sure, are predicting one of these guys to walk away with the Intercontinental title. I want to see The Miz surprise everybody and retain the belt. Like I said, I would love to see Kevin Owens get his hands on that Money in the Bank briefcase. Either that or they are just prolonging The Miz's title reign, and eventually we will get Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn winning that belt and the two of these guys feud for it. So I don't think The Miz is going to hold on to the belt for that much longer, but I think he comes out of Extreme Rules with the title. The New Day versus the Vaudevillains. You know the New Day's got to get some revenge for what the Vaudevillains did to them on Monday Night Raw, and I say New Day retains their titles as well. I like the Vaudevillains, and I guess it would be a nice feather in their cap if they were the ones that dethroned the New Day after their long title reign. But I want to see the New Day keep going a little bit longer. I'm not ready to have them lose the belts yet, and I think they will retain at Extreme Rules. Natalya versus Charlotte submission match for the WWE Women's title. Here's another one that might surprise you. I think Charlotte wins clean. I think this is a great opportunity for them to build her legacy. She's going to be out there without her father. She has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, no one to help her. She has to come through and prove that she's a champion this time. Natalya, they haven't done a whole lot with her in the last couple of years, so it's not going to hurt her any or damage her status if she loses a hard-fought match to the women's champion. But if Charlotte wins and goes out there and beats Natty after Natty has been making us all think that Charlotte can't beat her on her own, and then she goes out there and does it anyway, that's just going to add more to Charlotte's ego, more bragging rights for her, and adds to her legacy and extends her title reign. And for me, I'm all about building Charlotte. I am Team Charlotte, and I think a victory here clean over Natalya, having her submit to the figure eight, is the way to go, and that's what I'm hoping we see. And since everybody else seems to be retaining their titles except for Kalisto, in my predictions, we might as well just keep on rolling with that trend and predict that Roman Reigns does walk out of Extreme Rules with the WWE title. I'm not 100% sure how he's going to do it. He's going to win. He's going to beat AJ. Anything goes in this match. They can use any weapons they want. They can do anything. I love AJ Styles. I love that he's in the WWE. I love that he's getting a run with the world champion and getting some title shots, but I don't see him winning it. I see Roman Reigns retaining somehow by hook or crook. He'll wind up beating AJ Styles, and the fans, I'm sure, will be pissed. But, I think it's the right call to make. WWE wants to go with Roman Reigns. I know a lot of us hate it, but this feud with AJ Styles has not been bad. Their match at the last pay-per-view was great. I'm sure this match will be good as well. A lot of the build, leading up to this, and the segments they're doing on Monday Night Raw have not been half bad either. So overall, I can't complain about this title feud at all. And a lot of fans are talking about this new era that the WWE won't shut up about. And some people are saying, you can't have a new era if Roman Reigns retains the title. Yes, you can. What are you talking about? Roman Reigns is still a relatively new guy. He's only been a world title contender or a top contender for a couple of years since the Shield broke up. So it's not like this is John Cena and he's been on top for 10 years and we need a change. Roman Reigns is part of that change. The fans just don't like him. So I think the fans get confused on what the new era means. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, if WWE truly wants it to be a new era, this has to happen, and this guy has to win, and this guy has to win. The fans are still narrowing this all down and riding the success of the new era on whether or not their favorites win or not. And that, to me, is a bad way to look at it. I think the WWE will most likely fail, yes, at this new era concept, but it will have nothing to do with Roman Reigns winning. It's just going to be something that the WWE is not going to be able to pull off. But when you think about it, it's off to an okay start. I mean, they're showcasing a lot of new people. We got Big Cass, we got Baron Corbin, we got Gallows, Anderson, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Cesaro. They are all involved in significant storylines. Kalisto, brand new guy with a long U.S. title run. They are doing some things to try to move away from those same old superstars because you have John Cena and Randy Orton on the shelf right now. We haven't seen Kane or The Big Show in a while. All of that has been really nice. And we've seen some fresh faces, we've seen some new blood, and we've seen some new matches. So to me, in today's day and age, that's the best you can really ask for from the WWE. They're not going to do anything that's ever been as great as the Attitude Era, but if they're trying to build this new era, this new generation or whatever of stars, they're doing a relatively good job with it because a lot of these new guys are being focused on and showcased in high-profile situations. So if Roman Reigns winds up beating AJ Styles, that doesn't mean the new era is a failure. So that's that type of logic that I think the fans are just kind of lost on the whole thing because they're so anti-Roman Reigns. But I said last month before Payback, as long as the match is good, I don't give a shit. And the match was awesome, and I didn't care that Roman Reigns won. And as far as Extreme Rules go, as long as the match is good again, I don't really care who wins. I think Roman is the right guy to win, and I think he will, and I think he'll hold the belt until at least SummerSlam. How he does it, I have no idea. I'm not going to predict a finish in that thing, but I do think he comes out of Extreme Rules with the belt. So that is it for me. I am out of here. I got to get this commentary edited and uploaded so I can get back to working on the Q&A and have that finished up by Wednesday. Don't forget, on Thursday, May 19th, a brand new This Day in History and a pretty big and significant one at that. And then, of course, I will catch you after Extreme Rules on Sunday night with my results and reactions. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy all the new videos I'll be throwing at you, and I will catch you very soon. Until next time, peace.